can't go to the future. Me not being out on the streets because I don't have any money. And at the very beginning, I mean, I had no money. My house was sold. I had no place to stay except for my car. And I had some very good, solid girlfriends, and they took me in for the first 8 months, which was really good because I think I would have probably committed suicide.
A woman who had worked her entire life to reach her financial goals, who was finally ready to retire and see the world, who was standing on top of the world with everything she had ever dreamed of within reach, lost it all to a man she met on Match.com. Every penny of her retirement savings, her home, her freedom, and very nearly her life, leaving her living in her car with nowhere to go and thoughts of suicide as the only escape from the devastation these criminals had caused. When she tried to describe what living with this reality feels like now, her words were haunting in their simplicity. She said, living with it is the hardest of hard, that she can't go to the future anymore, and that her biggest worry is ending up on the streets because she doesn't have any money left. If this is your first time on this channel, hit that subscribe button right now because this story reveals exactly how romance scammers psychologically manipulate intelligent, successful people into giving away everything, and understanding their tactics could save you or someone you love from the same fate. What makes this case particularly devastating is that this woman did everything right in life. She worked hard. She saved diligently, she planned carefully for retirement, she achieved her financial objectives, and in a matter of months, professional criminals who operate with scripts and psychological manipulation techniques destroyed it all, proving that these scams don't target stupid people, they target lonely people, hopeful people, people who simply want connection and companionship after a lifetime of putting work first. This woman, whose full name is not disclosed in public reporting to protect her privacy, had never been married. She had spent her career focused on building financial security, and when retirement finally approached, she realized that she had achieved her professional and financial goals, but had never found a life partner. She thought to herself that if she ever wanted to get married, now was the time to do it. So
never married, and I thought, you know what, if I want to get married, now's the time to do it. So I thought, I'll try a dating site. I did Match.com. And 2 weeks passed, and that's when we started talking together. We were going to see each other, meet each other in person within the week. Then he traveled with his business, and so he had to leave and go to California and do business meetings. And I was very flexible with that because I'd worked all my life. I know what it's like.
So she made a decision that millions of people make every day. She joined Match.com, one of the most well-known and seemingly legitimate dating platforms in the world. 2 weeks passed, and then she connected with a man who seemed perfect. They started talking, building a connection, sharing their lives with each other through messages and calls. Within a week, they had made plans to meet in person, to take this online relationship into the real world. But then came the first excuse. He had to travel to California for business meetings. She was understanding and flexible about this because she had worked her whole life and knew what it was like to put work first, to have professional obligations that couldn't be ignored. She didn't realize that this excuse was the first strand in a web of lies designed to ensure they would never actually meet face to face. What followed was a masterclass in psychological manipulation, the kind of systematic emotional exploitation that these criminals have refined through countless victims. Every single morning, she would receive an email containing a poem that he had supposedly written just for her. Every morning, she would also receive sweet messages. "Hi, honey. How are you doing? How was your night? When I get to the States, I can't wait to be with you." This daily bombardment of affection and romantic attention is a deliberate technique designed to create emotional dependency, to make the victim feel special and loved and cherished in ways they may never have experienced before. Within just 1 month, the relationship had become what she described as very, very heavy in terms of emotional intensity and commitment. Looking back now, she recognizes this as the moment when she should have cut things off. The rapid escalation, the overwhelming intensity, the love bombing that seemed too good to be true because it was too good to be true. But when you're in the middle of it, when someone is making you feel more valued and desired than you've ever felt, it's almost impossible to see the manipulation for what it is. Once the emotional foundation was firmly established, the requests for money began. The amounts she sent are staggering in their totality. $150,000, then $250,000, then $75,000, then another check for $250,000, then another for $50,000. The money was wired to accounts in China and Hong Kong, destinations that should have raised immediate alarm bells but didn't because by that point, this man wasn't a stranger to her anymore. She addresses this directly when explaining what happened. People ask her how she could give money to a stranger, and she pushes back on that characterization because in her mind, after months of daily poems and sweet messages and intimate conversations, he wasn't a stranger at all. He was the man she loved, the man she planned to spend her life with, the man who had convinced her that their future together was worth any sacrifice. What she didn't understand was that she was dealing with professional criminals who operate with scripts, who have what she described as a book that tells them everything to do, who have studied psychological manipulation so thoroughly that they know exactly which emotional buttons to press and when to press them. By August of 2019, something in her mind had shifted, but not in the direction of suspicion. She realized that she would probably end up being poor if she continued with this man, but she had reached a point of psychological surrender where she thought that was acceptable. She told herself she could live with him and be poor, that being together was what mattered, not money. This is the trap that romance scammers create. They make victims so emotionally invested in the relationship that they're willing to sacrifice everything, including their own financial survival, rather than face the possibility that the love isn't real. By May, she was forced to sell her home. The reason was simple and devastating. She had no more money left to send. Every account had been drained, every asset liquidated, every resource exhausted in service of a relationship that existed only in carefully crafted messages and manipulated emotions. The discovery moment came through an unexpected channel. The Secret Service called her. The agent on the phone delivered news that would shatter the reality she had been living in for months. He told her directly that she had been the victim of a romance scam. But the detail that hit her hardest, the fact that she struggled to wrap her brain around, was what he said next. There wasn't even a Santos. The man she had fallen in love with, the man she had sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to, the man she was willing to be poor with. He didn't exist. There was no Santos, no businessman traveling to California, no poet writing verses for her every morning. It was all a fiction created by criminals, possibly multiple people working in shifts, following scripts designed to maximize how much money they could extract before the victim realized the truth. She described trying to process this revelation by saying she had never been around people of that character, people capable of such calculated cruelty, people who could fake love and intimacy for months while systematically stealing everything their victim had. The immediate aftermath was catastrophic in ways that words struggle to capture. At the very beginning, after the truth was revealed, she had no money, her house was sold, and she had no place to stay except her car. A successful professional who had achieved all her financial goals for retirement was suddenly homeless, living out of her vehicle, wondering how her life had collapsed so completely and so quickly. What saved her, possibly literally saved her life, was a group of solid girlfriends who took her in for the first 8 months after she lost everything. She credits them with her survival in the most direct terms possible. She says she probably would have committed suicide without their support. That statement should stop every viewer cold and make clear exactly how devastating these scams are beyond just the financial losses. These criminals don't just steal money, they steal sanity, they steal hope, they steal the will to live. She described what the scammers do to their victims' minds. They manipulate, they punish, they mess with your brain in ways that leave lasting psychological damage long after the money is gone. The transformation in her life has been dramatic and permanent. But when she describes what she's lost, she doesn't focus on material possessions or luxury items. What hurts most is the loss of freedom. She explains it clearly. It's not that she doesn't have money or can't drive a new car. It's the fact that she has no freedom anymore. She can't go out with her girlfriends for dinner. She can't pursue experiences or opportunities. She is very, very limited because of what this scam took from her. For someone who had planned to retire and see the world, who had worked her whole life specifically so she could have freedom in her later years, this loss of independence and possibility is perhaps the cruelest consequence of all. Here are the critical warning signs from this case that everyone needs to understand and share with people they care about. First, be extremely wary of any online relationship that escalates to intense emotional declarations within weeks. Legitimate relationships develop gradually, while scammers create artificial intimacy quickly to establish control. Second, someone who makes plans to meet but always has last-minute business travel or emergencies preventing the meeting is almost certainly not who they claim to be. Third, daily poems, constant sweet messages, and overwhelming romantic attention, especially early in a relationship, is a manipulation technique called love bombing, designed to create emotional dependency. Fourth, any romantic interest who asks for money, regardless of the reason or how well you think you know them, should be treated with immediate suspicion. Fifth, wire transfers to China, Hong Kong, or other overseas locations should be automatic deal breakers no matter what explanation is provided. Sixth, if you find yourself willing to become poor for someone you've never met in person, you've been psychologically manipulated and need outside intervention immediately. Seventh, the fact that someone feels like they're no longer a stranger after months of online communication doesn't mean they're real. Criminals invest time specifically to create that false sense of intimacy. If you found this story important and you want to protect yourself and the people you care about from similar devastation, please subscribe to this channel and share this video with everyone who needs to see it. This woman did nothing wrong except want love and companionship after a lifetime of work, and professional criminals exploited that beautiful human desire to take everything she had, including nearly her life. The lesson here is not to blame victims or tell people they shouldn't seek connection. The lesson is that romance scammers operate like businesses with scripts, training, and psychological techniques that can manipulate anyone regardless of intelligence or success. Talk to your single friends and family members about these scams. Create environments where people feel comfortable asking for second opinions about online relationships, and remember that the warning signs she missed, the rapid escalation, the business travel excuses, the requests for money, are the same patterns that appear in thousands of these cases every year. She wanted to retire and see the world, and instead she found herself homeless and suicidal, saved only by the kindness of friends willing to take her in when she had nothing left. Her freedom is gone, her savings are gone, her home is gone, but she's sharing her story so that others might be spared the same fate. This has been another investigation into how romance scammers destroy lives through fake love and real theft. Stay vigilant, protect the people you love, and remember that if someone online seems too good to be true, they almost certainly are.